Some benders don't just move elements around, they literally control your body, rip souls into pieces, and freeze hearts solid from the inside out. These are the forbidden techniques that separate legends from regular benders, and some are so deadly they were banned forever. Let's talk about the technique that kept you up at night as a kid, bloodbending. Bloodbending is waterbending's most terrifying evolution, and for good reason. This isn't about making waves or creating ice shields. We're talking about turning people into literal puppets by controlling the water in their bodies. When Hama first demonstrated this ability in The Last Airbender, she showed us something revolutionary. A captured waterbender, locked away in a Fire Nation prison, discovered she could bend the blood in the guards' bodies during a full moon. The scene where she escapes by forcing her captors to unlock her cell remains one of the darkest moments in the entire series. Here's what makes bloodbending absolutely broken. Most waterbenders can only pull this off during a full moon when their powers peak. But then came Yakone and his sons. These guys rewrote the rules completely. Yakone could bloodbend without the full moon, without even moving his hands. We're talking pure psychic control over dozens of people simultaneously. His son Noatak, better known as Amon, took this horror show even further. Amon developed a technique that permanently stripped people of their bending abilities. When he demonstrated this power on Lightning Bolt Zolt in The Legend of Korra, the entire pro-bending arena watched in terror as one of Republic City's most powerful benders lost everything. Even Katara, the greatest healer alive, couldn't reverse what Amon did. The only cure? Energy bending from the Avatar herself. Next on the list is healing, which represents water's gentler side. Not all waterbending specialties lean toward nightmare fuel. By using water as a medium, skilled waterbenders can redirect energy pathways in the body and accelerate natural healing processes. Katara became the face of this technique in The Last Airbender. When Aang got struck down by Azula's lightning in the season 2 finale, everyone thought he was done, but Katara used spirit water from the North Pole Spirit Oasis and brought him back from the edge of death. The technique has limits though. Healers can't fix internal damage, remove scars, cure birth defects, or restore bending stolen through bloodbending. It works best on fresh external wounds, but it can do some wild things with mental healing too. Remember when Katara helped Jet recover his brainwashed memories? That's healing working on a psychological level. Now most fans know Katara as the top healer, but the novels introduced us to Atuat, a doctor from the Northern Water Tribe who might actually be better. Atuat could bring people back from literal death's door. Her signature move involved lowering someone's body temperature to slow down the dying process itself. This technique requires incredible precision because one wrong move and you've killed your patient instead of saving them. Speaking of Atuat's temperature technique, this brings us to heart freezing, which happens when someone uses that knowledge for evil. Avatar Kyoshi, being Kyoshi, learned this life-saving method and immediately figured out how to weaponize it. Heart freezing does exactly what it sounds like. By rapidly lowering an opponent's internal body temperature, Kyoshi could freeze their heart and internal organs solid. The novels confirm she actually used this technique to eliminate threats. Only Kyoshi would take a medical procedure and turn it into an assassination tool. Another waterbending specialty worth mentioning is spirit bending, which lets advanced waterbenders transform a spirit's negative energy into positive energy, basically performing an exorcism through waterbending. When Korra used this technique in Book 2, she surrounded corrupted spirits in water until they glowed yellow and returned to their peaceful forms. But here's where it gets scary. This technique can also corrupt positive energy into negative energy. The novels reveal that a waterbender named Mani Rak discovered spirit bending during Avatar Roku's era. The technique can even target human souls, and if you push it far enough, you can destroy someone's soul completely. We're talking permanent, no coming back destruction. Moving over to earthbending now, we need to talk about metal bending, which broke what everyone thought was impossible. For generations, bending metal was considered physically impossible. Then Toph Beifong got locked in a metal cage and said, "Watch this." The blind earthbending prodigy realized metal isn't pure. It contains tiny earth impurities, and if you can sense those particles, you can bend the metal itself. When Toph first bends her way out of that cage in The Last Airbender, she creates a whole new subcategory of earthbending. By the time we reach The Legend of Korra, she's founded the Metal Bending Police Force, and Republic City runs on metal benders working in power plants. The technique has one weakness though. Platinum is too pure. It contains 0 earth particles, which is why Kuvira's mech suit used platinum and could tank hits from metal benders all day. Before Toph invented metal bending though, she had to master seismic sense first. This technique turns the earth into a giant radar system. By feeling vibrations in the ground, earthbenders create a complete mental map of their surroundings. Toph learned this from the original earthbenders, the badger moles. In The Last Airbender, we see her use this ability to navigate despite being completely blind. She can detect lies by sensing heartbeats and breathing patterns. The only person who ever fooled her seismic sense? Azula, because that girl's heartbeat doesn't change when she lies. The Avatar novels reveal that Jianzhu, one of Avatar Karuk's companions, used seismic sense long before Toph. So did Yoon, Avatar Kyoshi's most dangerous enemy. These masters could sense things happening underground and detect people through solid walls. Next up is lava bending, which brings us to Earth's molten fury. Lava bending was originally supposed to be an Avatar-only ability, requiring both earthbending and firebending to work. Avatars Zito, Roku, and Kyoshi all demonstrated this power. Then the creators changed their minds and made it an extremely rare earthbending specialty instead. The comics introduced Ru, the first confirmed non-Avatar lava bender who studied at the Beifong Metal Bending Academy. In The Legend of Korra, we meet Guzin, and this man shows us just how destructive lava bending really is. He single-handedly tears down Ba Sing Se's inner wall, something the entire Fire Nation couldn't accomplish in 100 years. Later, he literally melts the Northern Air Temple into slag. When Bolin unlocks lava bending and fights the Red Lotus, we see this ability go head-to-head in one of the most visually stunning battles in the series. While we're discussing earthbending variations, let's touch on sand bending, which is practiced mainly by the Si Wong Desert tribes. Unlike other specialized techniques, most earthbenders can sandbend without much difficulty since sand is just loose earth particles. But glass bending? That's another story. Glass is technically superheated and cooled sand, which means earthbenders should theoretically be able to bend it. Avatar Kyoshi proved this when she got hit with glass shards during a fight and bent them right out of her neck to save her own life. Here's the weird part though, we've never seen another glassbender. Not in The Last Airbender, not in The Legend of Korra, not in any of the comics or novels. Why? Nobody knows. Switching gears to airbending now, we have to discuss flight, which represents the ultimate freedom and the highest level of airbending mastery. Guru Lagima achieved it 4,000 years before The Legend of Korra by releasing all earthly attachments. The technique was considered mythical until Zaheer unlocked it in real time. When Pali dies and Zaheer loses his last earthly tether, he just starts floating. No glider, no air scooter, just pure unaided flight. The fight scene where Zaheer flies around the temple while battling the Avatar remains one of the most visually impressive sequences in the entire franchise. Here's one ability 99% of fans have never heard of, and it's called sound bending. The Dawn of Yangchen novel reveals that Avatar Yangchen discovered this technique. After failing a mission, she went to the beach and screamed out her frustration. Her scream carved channels into the ocean itself and permanently deafened her friend who was standing nearby, even though he tried covering his ears. Closely related to sound bending is suffocation, which might be airbending's darkest technique. Yangchen also knew how to suffocate people by removing air from around them, though she only used it to make opponents pass out. Zaheer had no such reservations. When Zaheer assassinates Earth Queen Haoting in The Legend of Korra, he pulls the air directly from her lungs through her nose and mouth, then creates an air vacuum around her head. Watching her collapse while Zaheer calmly explains what he's doing remains one of the most brutal deaths in the series. Now, let's jump into firebending, starting with blue fire, which became Azula's signature move. Most firebenders create orange flames. Azula's fire burns blue. The creators originally gave her blue fire just to make her attacks visually distinct from Zuko's during their fights, but the lore explanation makes it even better. Blue fire burns significantly hotter than orange fire and requires far more skill to control. Avatar Roku states that blue fire is extremely difficult to master. Even Roku and Sozin only managed to create blue flames once, while standing inside a spirit cave that temporarily boosted their bending. Even more impressive than blue fire is dragon fire, also called iridescent fire. When Aang and Zuko visit the dragons in The Last Airbender, they witness iridescent fire that shimmers with rainbow colors. This represents the purest, most powerful form of fire bending. Dragons are the original firebenders, so naturally they can create dragon fire. Avatar Roku managed it once inside that same spirit cave, but the flames were so hot they literally burned his hands while he bent them and destroyed the entire cave. Next comes lightning bending, bending, which firebenders call cold-blooded fire. Lightning generation separates positive and negative energies internally and releases them as pure electricity. In the last Airbender, only Azula, Iroh, and Ozai could do this. The technique was so rare that most people thought it was a myth. During Kyoshi's era, only one firebender in the entire world could generate lightning. By Korra's time though, factory workers used lightning bending to power Republic City's generators. The technique became common enough that it's literally a blue-collar job. Another devastating firebending technique is combustion bending, where users create explosions using their minds by firing concentrated heat beams from a third eye tattoo. We meet Combustion Man in The Last Airbender and Pali in The Legend of Korra. The technique is devastatingly powerful. Combustion Man destroys massive rock formations in single blasts. Pali can curve her explosions mid-flight to hit targets behind cover. Finally, we arrive at energy bending, which stands as the Avatar's ultimate power. Energy bending lets you manipulate someone's life force directly. Before the Avatar existed, lion turtles used energy bending to grant humans the ability to control elements. By the 100-Year War, only one lion turtle remained. It taught Aang energy bending, which he used to strip Ozai's firebending instead of killing him. Aang later passed the technique to Korra. Energy benders can remove or restore bending abilities. They can undo bloodbending's permanent effects. They can create astral projections of their spirits. Korra even learned to bend pure spiritual energy, which she used to deflect Kuvira's spirit cannon blast. Here's the thing though, while mastering all 4 elements is mandatory for the Avatar, learning energy bending is completely optional. It's a bonus ability, not a requirement. Before you go, if you made it this far, hit that subscribe button and drop a like. We're grinding toward 100,000 subscribers, and your support makes this content possible. Which bending ability do you think is the most broken? Let me know in the comments below. Peace out.